Remote work promises us the freedom and flexibility to work the way we want. Yet, nearly 70% of remote workers experience burnout, feel overwhelmed and frustrated. What can you do when a dream job starts to feel like a nightmare? And more importantly, is it possible to transform your remote work setup to become truly productive and fulfilled? Hi, I'm Angela. After 10 years in corporate and 10 years as a digital entrepreneur, I've learned that remote work can be both a blessing and a challenge. It's great not to have to deal with commuting, rigid schedules, and office distractions. But on the flip side, you must manage your own time, deal with feelings of isolation, and set clear boundaries to avoid burnout. I've experienced all of these challenges, and to manage them, I've tried many techniques. In this video, I'll be sharing the 7 top strategies and techniques that I picked up from various books, which I've tested and refined over the years. Whether you're a full-time digital nomad or just working from home a few times a week, these tips will help you to address different challenges of remote work, and you can mix and match them according to your needs and circumstances. Let's dive right into the first tip, which is to manage your calendar. Not having a 9 to 5 structure seems enticing, and it's great not to have someone peering over your shoulders to make sure you're working. But without peer pressure or supervision, we might end up either slacking or getting swept up into a blur of meetings, emails, and random tasks. Before you know it, the day is over, the important stuff remains undone, and you wonder where all your time went. Remote work gives us the flexibility of time, but it can backfire if we don't manage our calendar properly. And here's the secret. You want to manage your energy, not your time. That means using your best energy to drive the most important things without losing the flexibility of working from home. The first step is to define your priorities. Ask yourself, if I could finish just one thing today for this to be a great day, what would it be? Do this 3 times to identify your top 3 tasks. Second, commit to your peak hours for those top tasks. Choose a time when you feel the most energized, then block out 2 to 3 hours on your calendar for focused, high-priority work without distractions. If you work with a team, notify them that you're going to use this time for your most crucial work. Negotiate with your team members and your boss not to schedule any meetings during this window, and to expect replies to messages and emails only afterward. As a morning person, I realized that I can get so much more done with 2 to 3 hours of solid, focused work in the first half of my day, compared to a whole day of distracted multitasking. Once I get the crucial stuff out of the way, I feel much more satisfied with my work, even if the rest of the day is spent on meeting, administrative tasks, and other random work. But focused work takes a lot of energy. So, for every 2 hours of focused work, make sure you set aside 1 hour for total rest and recovery. Schedule it within the same week, say stop thinking about work totally over the weekend, and use that time to do something you find rejuvenating. If you'd like to learn more about this concept, check out my other video where I explain why and how this works. This tip has helped me to get a lot more done, but it only solves a part of the problem. When you work from home, one of the biggest challenges is that your work hours tend to eat into your personal and rest time. So, it's crucial to set a distinct start and end to your workday. The next 2 tips will address that. Establish a morning or kickoff routine. Whether you start your workday in the morning, afternoon, or evening, it helps to have a routine that signals the beginning of your work session. This is especially important if you tend to oversleep or if you find it hard to even get started. After trying out different options, I settled on a 15-minute adaptation of Tony Robbins' priming ritual. This involves some breathing exercises to calm and focus the mind, gratitude and visualizations to set a positive intent for the day, and a quick burst of exercise to get my blood flowing. My default is 20 burpees, which takes less than a minute but is enough to get my heart racing. Feel free to choose a routine that works for you. The goal is to put yourself in a positive frame of mind and then have a very distinct transition to start your workday, like sitting down at your designated workspace with a cup of coffee. It's equally important to know when to end your day, which brings us to the next tip. Establish an end-of-day routine. It's possible to leave your work behind when you leave the office at 6 p.m, but that's much harder when you're working from home. Things blur together, and you probably continue to check emails over dinner or continue various tasks after that. After a while, you might start to feel mentally and physically exhausted because you're constantly working or thinking about work. Having an end-of-day ritual helps to signal your mind and body that it's time to switch off and transit into rest and recovery mode. You can set a specific time or activity to mark the end of work. For example, stop work at 7 p.m. or when you sit down for dinner with your family. Or create a wind-down routine like a meditation or breathing session to mentally disconnect from work. You can also disconnect physically by turning off your work devices or closing the door to your workspace. The first 3 tips we've covered so far help you to manage your time more optimally. Remote work also offers us the flexibility of where we work. Which brings us to the next tip. Optimize your work environment. One of the benefits of remote work is the flexibility to work from virtually anywhere so long as you have an internet connection. So you can be at home, at a cafe, or even traveling overseas. But this flexibility comes with its own set of challenges, especially when it comes to finding or creating a conducive work environment. It can be really hard to focus when you're working from home with kids running around, or in a noisy cafe with an uncomfortable seat or unreliable Wi-Fi. It helps to have a dedicated workspace at home or a few familiar places where you can consistently get focused work done. Psychologically, it's also very powerful to settle down into a familiar spot, which signals your mind and body that it's time to start work. Here's a checklist for creating an effective workspace. Comfortable seating. Invest in an ergonomic chair, or at least have a good chair that you can sit in comfortably for several hours at a time. Good lighting is also important. Ideally, choose places with natural light, or at least have a table lamp to brighten up the work area. Lastly, noise control. If you don't have a quiet and close place for yourself, then use earphones or earplugs to block out the background noise. You can have the perfect setup for remote work but still find it hard to get serious work done if you're constantly interrupted by screaming kids, family members, and pets seeking your attention, and notification pinging from your devices. This is why you need to deliberately remove unwanted distractions. It's unrealistic to expect a distraction-free environment all day, but you could minimally clear out the distractions for 2 to 3 hours of focused work each day. Here are 3 things to start with. First, communicate with your family members or housemates so they know when you're entering your focused work zone. Close the door and hang a Do Not Disturb sign if possible. Second, reduce digital distractions. Turn off non-essential apps and computer notifications, and use digital well-being tools such as website blockers and app timers to manage your digital consumption. Finally, use non-peak hours in the day for low-priority tasks like responding to emails and non-urgent messages so they don't interrupt or distract you from your focus or priority work. These 3 steps should help to eliminate most distractions. For more advanced tips on improving focus, do check out our other video. These previous 2 tips help you to stay focused on what matters. But working non-stop is actually counterproductive, which is why we need to take regular breaks to replenish our energy. In an office setting, there are designated lunch hours, and it's common to take short breaks for discussions over a drink or coffee. But when you're working alone at home, it's easy to skip breaks and meals, especially when you have back-to-back meetings with team members across different time zones. After a full day of sitting in front of the computer, working on digital documents and attending online meetings, my eyes will ache and I feel totally drained. Is it the same for you? In fact, many remote workers also struggle with Zoom fatigue from having too many online meetings. The good news is you can recharge yourself by incorporating breaks into your work rhythm. One effective method is the Pomodoro technique. Set a timer for 25 minutes of focused work, then take a 5-minute break before starting the next cycle. After 4 cycles, take a longer break of 15 to 20 minutes. To get the most from these breaks, alternate between active renewals and passive renewals to change up your body's rhythm. Active renewals involve movement to get your heart rate up, while passive renewals are about calming your mind and body. For more strategies on physical, mental, and emotional renewal, do check out this other video where I dive deeper into these techniques. That brings us to the last tip, which is absolutely essential. Incorporate meaningful interactions into your day. Remote work can feel lonely and isolating. One of the things I miss most about working in a large corporate team is the frequent, deep face-to-face interactions. Whether I was chatting with colleagues over lunch, hanging out after work, or even forming close friendships, those in-person connections made a huge difference to the work experience. Unfortunately, the depth and quality of digital interactions is just not the same. You can feel isolated and disconnected even after a full day of online meetings. Which is why it's essential to set aside time for meaningful interactions, both professionally and personally. Here are 3 ideas to explore. First, reserve time on your calendar for meaningful face-to-face social activities or quality bonding time with family and friends. Second, improve the quality of work interactions by being fully present during meetings. Keep your webcam on, engage in the discussion, and avoid multitasking. Go for quality over quantity and try not to overload your day with meetings. Most issues can actually be sorted out through email or text, so save the meetings for topics where you can truly engage in. Third, don't hesitate to ask for support if you need it. If you're feeling confused, overwhelmed, or disconnected, speak up, whether it's to your colleagues, your boss, or a loved one. People may not realize that you're struggling, so it's really important to let them know. Personally, I like to combine relationship time with recovery time, like spending an entire afternoon on an art project or sports activities with my loved ones. You can learn more about how I do this in another video. Ultimately, remote work can be really fulfilling and enjoyable if you intentionally manage your time and deliverables. Whether you are new to remote work or have been doing it for a while, these 7 tips can help you to find your rhythm and get the most out of your work from home experience. Adapting to remote work requires a certain level of self-awareness and self-management, but the rewards are well worth it. It's valuable to have the freedom, even if it's only partial freedom, to design your day and spend more time doing the stuff that you love at your own pace and in your own space. If you are leading or managing remote workers, you also need to create and maintain a healthy remote work environment for the entire team, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more updates. These 7 tips are the ones that I found to be the most effective for remote work, but there are many more ideas from the books where they came from. You can explore more strategies from the book summaries and resources in the description. And don't forget to check out our productivity playlist to keep learning with us here at Growth Garden. I'll see you in those videos.